we're gonna start off with some body weight for our warm-up sets. And then if we can, we're gonna grab some dumbbells, anywhere from 5 to 15 pounds for the sets after our warm-up sets. And that maybe we need to stick with body weight for the first couple of weeks, but the idea is we're gonna get stronger, so we're gonna need extra weight. I want you to grab 2 resistance bands, and one is gonna go above the knee and one's gonna go below the knee. And we're gonna get into some wall sits for our warm-up. So what I want here is to sit against the wall so that your knees are at a 90-degree angle. Now, if this feels too challenging, the idea of the band is that you are forced to drive your knees out against the band. If this feels a little bit too challenging to hold for, say, 20 seconds, I want you to ditch the lower band and just use the upper band. So we're gonna hold for anywhere from 20 seconds to a minute, paying attention to stacking your ears over the shoulders over your rib cage over your hips. I want your lower back pressed into the wall. When you press your lower back into the wall, you are forcing that core to turn on, and you're sort of forcing that pelvis to rotate this way, so we keep a neutral spine. Okay, so we're gonna go about, if you need to take a break, that's fine. Otherwise, we're gonna shoot for a minute. So guys, if you need a break at 20 seconds, totally fine. Take a break, get back into it, and that 20 seconds or however long you could hold it is gonna be your baseline. Reminder, I don't want the knees caving in. Your knees should be actively driving out against the band, lower back pressed up into the wall, taking expansive breaths through your rib cage, through the back of your rib cage, keeping your shoulders down, lined up underneath your ears. You should feel a tremble. And let's hold it a little while longer. This should be hard, guys. It's really hard for me. Good. You should feel a tremble in your legs. You should feel it in your quads, in your glutes, everywhere. Okay, let's take a break. Good job. Kind of shake it out. We'll rest for about, let's rest for about 45 seconds. In the meantime, what you can do is open up that chest while you're resting. So put your elbow against the wall, and you're gonna gently lean into it to get a nice stretch opening up right here. And the other side. Okay, one more wall sit. So again, if that one was really challenging, ditch the lower band till you get stronger. Then you can add the lower band back in. So we're gonna sit at where our knees are at a 90-degree angle. Ears are stacked over the shoulders. Shoulders are pressed back into the wall. Collarbones point towards the wall, meets the ceiling. Rib cage is stacked over your pelvis. Press the lower back into the wall. Drive the knees out actively against the band. If you can think of your muscles, your internal stabilizers sort of hugging your spine, if that's too much, just ignore that. Now, once you progress, this is what I want you to do for your wall sits. You're actively driving the knees out. You're breathing through your rib cage expansively, and you're getting some shoulder mobility. If your shoulders are healthy, I want to keep them healthy. If not, it's fine, we'll get them strong. If this is painful, then don't do it. And let's go for 20 more seconds. Driving the knees out against the band, good job. And your legs should be trembling. Go ahead and take a break. Nice job. All right, so we're gonna do some body weight squats here. Go ahead and rest for about a minute. And we can actively just sort of get some mobility in there. Stretch out your hamstrings since those typically are tight. Pulling the toe up, pushing the hips back. Keeping your hips square. Don't let them rotate, yeah? Keep them facing forward. Other side. Toe up, push the hips back. Hips are square, hips face forward. About 10 more seconds. Okay, we're gonna warm up with some body weight squats. So I want 2 feet, and you're gonna space your feet about hip width apart. Toes are gonna point maybe slightly outward. What you're gonna do over the next few weeks is pay attention to your foot placement and see what feels comfortable for your ankles, your knees, and your hips. Now I want you to just come down here. See how far your range of motion is. Come down, pause, and back up. If your range of motion only allows you to go to here, that's just fine. Eventually, what we are wanting is to get our hips at least to the level where our knees are. So let's press that. And what I want for each rep is a slow quality rep. So what that means is we're coming down to our full range of motion, pausing at the bottom, driving through our heels, coming back up, squeezing at the top. So pause at the bottom, drive up through the heels, squeeze at the top. Keep your toes spread out. If you need to wear shoes, that's fine. If you want to work out barefoot at home, great. Let's do 10 more. Squeeze at the top. Chest up. Four more. Squeeze at the top. 3, pause at the bottom, squeeze at the top. 2, 1. All right, great. That was your warm-up set. Shake it out. We're gonna take about 30 seconds to rest. And you're gonna grab your dumbbells. You can start with a 5-pound dumbbell. And we're gonna do it again with some weight. So feet place hip width apart. Your option is to hold the dumbbells here. For some people, you can hold it up here. That's gonna make it a little harder. For those who tend to have spinal issues, we're just gonna hold it here or at our sides. So let's do 15. Ready, begin. So down, driving up through your heels. Down, pause at the bottom. Drive up through your heels, squeeze at the top. We're on number 3. This is how it looks from the side. Keeping your chest up. And remember, don't shrug your shoulders. You want to keep your shoulders pulled down away from your ears. I think we're at 9. Pause at the bottom, squeeze up. Pause at the bottom. You're gonna drive up from your heels. You should really feel it in your glutes when you drive up from your heels. Let's just do 4 more. Okay. Good job. Okay, put your weights down, take a break. So we're gonna take a break for about 40 seconds. If you need to take a break for longer, 1 minute, a minute and a half, depending on your level, totally fine. Just press pause. we're gonna get into some split squats here. So again, our first set is just gonna be body weight, it's gonna be warm up, and then we'll add some weight onto that. After our split squats, we're gonna go into a glute bridge, and then we'll do some upper body and core. Great. So split squat, what you're gonna wanna do is just take a split stance. What you're gonna do is put that back leg so that you're on the ball of your foot. Play around with the distance, what's comfortable for you. I want your chest to stay high. You can do a slight bend in the hips, and we're just gonna come down. If you can touch your knee lightly on the ground, great. If you can't, just take note of your starting point and we will progress from there. So let's do 15 of these. Pause at the bottom. Drive up through your heel. Chest stays high. Slight bend at the waist. What are we on? 10 more. Squeeze at the top. Splay your toes out. Spread your toes out wide. Pause at the bottom. Drive up from your heel. Squeeze at the top. Good. Let's do 7. So the difference between this and maybe some of the other videos you've done, I want a slow rep. You do not have to go at my pace. Slow reps. So we're forcing that muscle to activate and work really hard. Hopefully hitting some of those type 2 muscle fibers. Squeeze at the top, do 2 more. Keep that core locked in. Good. Take about a 20-second rest. Then we'll do the other side. Shake it out. Okay, so when I say core locked in, that applies to every single move. So what we're gonna do is, yes, we're gonna tense the abs, but we're gonna think about drawing that lowest rib down towards the pelvis. Really keeping that core locked in so we would support all the muscles in the spine. Whew. All right, so opposite foot forward this time. You're gonna take your split stance and let's do 15. So guys, don't walk a tightrope, right? You want the width of your feet to be hip width apart. So from the front, it kind of looks like this. Don't walk a tightrope. You want your distance to be here, okay? So other leg, we're just gonna go 15. Slight bend at the waist. Keep your core locked in. Go. Okay, I want you to pay attention to that front knee. Is it pointing in the same direction as your toe, or is it caving in? We want that front knee to point forward. Pausing at the bottom. Let's do 12 more. Pause at the bottom, drive up through the heel. Pause at the bottom, drive up through the heel. Core is locked in. Let's do 8 more. Squeeze at the top. And 6. Pause at the bottom. And 1 more. Good job. Take a 45-second rest, or if you need to rest longer, totally fine. Stretch it out, shake it out. Get some water. Other side. Okay, good. Go ahead and grab your dumbbells and we're gonna split squat again. All right. So get in your split squat stance. The width of your foot placement should be hip width apart. And we're just gonna squat up and down. we're gonna aim for 10 to 15 reps. So if you are at the 15th rep and it's not very difficult, like you think you could do 15 more, I want you to grab a heavier weight. So pausing at the bottom, driving up from your heel. Slight bend at the hips. Chest stays up. Let's do 8 more. Core in. So draw that lowest rib down toward your hips. What are we on, 5? My friends joke that my counting is terrible, but I can't think and count and talk at the same time. So you keep track of your own reps. Awesome, but I know for sure I will never shortchange you reps. Whew. Take about a 20-second rest, and let's get into the other leg. Other foot forward. Hip, foot width is spaced hip width apart. Slight bend in the hips. And we're just gonna take it down for 15. Pause at the bottom. Core is locked in. Drive up through your heel. Keep that core locked in. Pause at the bottom. Drive up from your heel. Let's do 11 more. Pay attention to where that knee is pointing. Try not to let it cave in. You want that knee to point in the same direction as your toe. Drive up through the heel. Really feel it in the glute. What are we on? 6, 5. Pause at the bottom. 4, squeeze at the top. Pause at the bottom. Squeeze at the top. 2 more. Core is locked in at all times. Last one. Good job. All right. Go ahead and grab your mat. And we're just gonna do some glute bridges. So, bring your bands back out, one above the knee, one below the knee. If you need to modify to make it a little easier, totally fine, especially if you're a beginner, then you just want one band. And what we're gonna do, feet spaced, hip width apart, your toes pointing forward. It's okay if they point out just a little. And what we're gonna do, keep our core locked in. That means your lowest rib is drawing down towards your hips. You're gonna drive up from your heels, using your glutes to bring your pelvis to the ceiling and squeeze. Hold it for 2 seconds. Come back down, lightly. Core locked in. Feel that lower back against the floor. Squeeze your glutes, bring your pelvis up towards the ceiling. Squeeze, hold for 2 seconds. Drive the knees out and slowly lower. Again, lower back presses into the floor. Squeeze the glutes. Bring the hips up. Lock it out at the top. Hold for 2 seconds. Drive the knees out. So your knees are always driving out against the band. I don't want those knees caving in. Let's do 7 more. Squeeze at the top, hold it for 2 seconds. Squeeze your glutes and lower down. So this one, what we're doing to bring our hips towards the ceiling is you're squeezing your glutes, you're squeezing and locking it in at the top and slowly lowering. Let's do 5 more. Squeeze, hold at the top and lower. Squeeze your glutes, lock it in, drive your knees out and lower. Let's do 3 more. Squeeze your glutes, lock it out, slowly lower. Engage your core so your lower back is flush with the floor. Squeeze your glutes, bring it up. And lower. Let's do 2 more. Squeeze your glutes, lock it out, pause at the top, and lower. Good job. Last one. Squeeze, hold, squeeze, 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 and lower. Good job. Whew. Rest for about 45 seconds, and we are gonna do 1 more round. So what you can do here, just sort of get a gentle twist in. When you're holding your static stretches, what I want is deep breaths in throughout the rib cage. Expand the back of the rib cage, and exhale. Other side. Just a gentle twist, right? Get a little mobility into that spine. If anything feels uncomfortable, don't do it. Expansive breaths throughout your rib cage. All right, let's do 1 more set of 10 bridges. If this was too easy, I want you to put a dumbbell on each side. So this is how it would look. So you would just put your dumbbell on your hip bones, whatever's comfortable. If you need to put a towel under the dumbbells, that's great. So you're actively driving your knees out against the band. Your feet are hip width apart, toes pointing forward. You're driving up your heels, squeezing your glutes, and come back down. Lower back presses into the floor. Engage your core. Squeeze back up. And down, good. Squeeze up. You're using your glutes to come up, not your back. And gently lower. Engage your core, press your lower back into the floor. Let's do 7 more. Squeeze at the top. Press your lower back into the floor. Engage that core. Keep that core engaged the whole time. Okay, in the beginning, you're gonna feel it in your entire leg. Over time, once we strengthen the glutes and we learn to activate it, you're gonna feel most of this in your glutes. Let's do 5 more. Squeeze at the top and come down. Squeeze your glutes. Hold it at the top. Good. Let's do 3 more. Squeeze, pause at the top. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. You should feel a nice burn. 2 more. Squeeze, hold, squeeze, 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 and come down. Last one. Give it an extra squeeze, an extra second at the top. Squeeze, squeeze. You should be trembling. And good job. Last one. Whew. You can put your dumbbells away. Take off your bands. Gonna rest for about 45 seconds. Maybe get a quick stretch in here. Taking expansive breaths to expand the rib cage in all directions. All right, so we're gonna get into 1 upper body press and 1 upper body pull. So for your push-ups, eventually we wanna be here, which is great, keeping a neutral spine, right? But starting off, you can start off on your knees, or you can start off with your hands elevated on a bench, or even the wall. We'll just do our knees for today. So go ahead and roll up your mat so you have some extra padding. What I want here, place your hands kind of, if you came down, your hands are gonna be just about at chest height. I want this one to sort of hit the triceps, so you want your elbows to be pointing towards the back. The width of your hand should be directly underneath your elbows, which are stacked underneath your shoulders. Now, engage your core. It looks like this. You're drawing your lowest rib towards your pelvis. Think of a straight line from your ears through your shoulders, through your belly button, all the way down to your knees. Straight line. So I don't want this, right? That's your butt is up. Straight line. Neutral spine, and we're just gonna take it down and up. And just do as many as you can. If it's 3, great. We'll progress from there. Make sure your core is locked in. And you can do it with me, or what you can do, just take breaks. Shake it out, and then just get back into it. I'm gonna do 5 more. 4. Keeping your core locked in. Great. If you feel like you can do another set, press pause and get on that next set. Otherwise, we're just gonna do a quick lat hold and then you're done. So rest for about, maybe 30 seconds. All right, so you're gonna flip over. And what I want is, you're just gonna do a kind of like a modified, this is like a Superman. So squeezing your butt the whole time. I want you to squeeze your elbows together and hold. Your chest doesn't need to come off very high off the ground. What we're doing here is we're really just working on squeezing our lats. So you're gonna squeeze your elbows together. You're going to imagine that you have grapes under your armpits. Really squeeze those grapes. Squeeze and engage your lats. We're gonna hold for 20 more seconds. Squeeze the grapes under your armpits. Bring those elbows together. Squeeze your glutes. You should feel a nice little shake. 10 more seconds. Squeezing down at the armpits. Squeezing your glutes. 5 more seconds. And good job. You are done.